It was a Tuesday afternoon, and Daniel walked into his favorite coffee shop on Main Street, the same place he'd been coming to for years. The room buzzed with conversation, laughter, clinking mugs, and the soft hum of jazz music playing overhead. He stood near the entrance for a second, scanning the crowd. Not one person looked up. He walked to the counter, ordered a black coffee, and took a seat by the window. Around him, friends chatted in groups. People waved at each other. Some laughed a little too loudly. Others barely sipped their drinks while scrolling on their phones. Daniel sat quietly. He tried starting small talk with the person next to him once. "Busy day, huh?" They nodded, smiled politely, and turned back to their laptop. That was it. He felt invisible, like a ghost walking through a world that had already decided where everyone belonged, and he didn't fit anywhere. Not hated, not judged, just unnoticed. It wasn't the first time, and deep down, Daniel knew it wouldn't be the last. But something changed that evening. As he left the coffee shop and walked home, he recalled a conversation he'd once had with an older mentor, his college professor, Mr. Rowland. The man had said something odd once. The loudest person in the room rarely has the most power. Real presence is quiet, still, unshakable. He hadn't understood it then, but now it lingered. So he did what any curious mind does. He went home and searched, not for advice on how to be charismatic or popular, but for something deeper. Why some people enter a room and change the temperature without saying a word, why others, like him, fade into the wallpaper. He found the answer in the most unexpected place, a pause. A simple, intentional pause. Not hesitation, not insecurity, but a moment of stillness that speaks louder than any clever phrase. And so Daniel made a promise to himself. Tomorrow, he would try something different. The next morning, he didn't change his outfit. He didn't memorize any punchy lines. He didn't fake a smile. He simply walked into the same coffee shop and paused. At the door, he stood still for 2 seconds. Not awkwardly, but with quiet intention. He scanned the room, not searching for approval, but observing. Calm, grounded. As he moved toward the counter, he didn't rush. He didn't shuffle his feet. He walked like someone who belonged, not because others welcomed him, but because he did. When the barista asked for his order, he didn't jump in with, I'll have... Instead, he looked at her, nodded slightly, held the silence for a beat, and then said, "Black coffee, please." Slow, clear, present. That moment changed everything. The barista smiled more warmly this time. "Coming right up." He took his coffee and sat near a group of coworkers talking at a nearby table. A man looked over. Daniel nodded, not with a big grin, not with nervous energy, just a calm acknowledgement. And something strange happened. The man spoke first. "Hey man, you work around here." They started talking. The conversation flowed. The group made space for him to join. By the end of the hour, Daniel had shared a few laughs, traded numbers, and, most importantly, felt seen. All because of a pause. Here's what Daniel learned in the weeks that followed. Most people think communication is about words, but humans respond to energy more than language. We're trained to believe that we need to talk fast to sound smart, to jump in quickly so we don't lose attention, to smile constantly to be liked. But that's the behavior of someone trying to earn space, not someone who owns it. The moment you slow down, the room takes notice. When you pause before speaking, people lean in. When you hold silence after a question, people pay more attention to your answer. When you walk, talk, and even drink your coffee like you're not in a rush to prove anything, people start to respect you differently. Because silence, when used intentionally, is not empty. It's powerful. It says, I don't need to be loud to matter. It says, I'm comfortable in myself. It says, you'll listen when I speak, not because I force you to, but because you'll want to. Months passed. Daniel was no longer invisible. He didn't become the center of every room. He didn't turn into a motivational speaker or a TikTok star, but he became something far more powerful, unshakably present, and the people around him noticed. Friends said they felt calm around him. Coworkers began asking for his input more often. Even strangers seemed to engage more naturally. What changed? Not his voice, not his looks, just his energy, his pace, his ability to let silence speak for him. So the next time you walk into a room, don't rush to fill the space with noise. Don't apologize for being there. Don't try to charm or please. Just pause. Let others feel your presence before you say a word. And when you do speak, speak slowly, intentionally, like someone worth listening to. Because you are. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.